How's it going, anime lovers? My name is David Hayter, and today I want to talk about Tower of God after watching the first season of the anime and reading the manhwa. Also, for those of you wondering why Aniki isn't here to give his thoughts, the powers that be decided that it would be best if I stepped in and gave the final verdict of where this channel stands with Tower of God, since Aniki has proven himself to not be a reliable source of objectivity and reasonableness when it comes to reviews. However, since I have been given a chance to right the wrongs of my eccentric counterpart, I will not be doing a review of this anime, but instead, I want to use this time as an opportunity to create a space on this channel where I can talk to you guys about anything that I find interesting in an anime without the harsh judgment that often accompanies a random review. So despite the harsh criticism that Aniki gave for the first episode of Tower of God, I want to set the record straight that I actually enjoyed watching this anime a lot more than I thought I would, especially near the end where it revealed a lot of plot twists that I didn't see coming. I won't be going deep into spoilers in this discussion since that could be a whole video by itself, but what I do want to do is talk about how well the anime adapted the manhwa. And to be honest, I found a lot of things that the anime skipped over that could have made it so much better. Although I am going to be critiquing a lot of aspects about the anime that I didn't enjoy, I just want to let you all know that I'm just a 27-year-old otaku who loves a good story. And after reading the manhwa for Tower of God, it makes me really sad to know that a lot of people will be missing out on a much more fulfilling story because they're only going to watch the anime. So what I've decided to do to hopefully fix this issue and get more people to read the manhwa is that I scoured the manhwa for 3 of the most important examples of content that was left out of the anime and talk about why they should have been included in order to make the anime adaptation better. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be covering every single change that I found between the anime and manhwa in this video, but hopefully this video will serve as a good starting point for those of you out there who are curious about what you're missing out on by not reading the manhwa. So without further ado, let's get started with comparing the anime versus the manhwa for the Tower of God. The first example I want to talk about is actually just a line of dialogue when Endorsi was attacking the fishermen on her team during the tag test, and she was confronting Bam about what he was willing to do to climb the tower and protect Rachel. When Endorsi noticed that Bam was too hesitant to hurt people in order to get what he desired, the line that should have been added into the anime in order to get more people to like Bam was when Endorsi told him, "Forget about Rachel and go find your own happiness." After I finished watching the anime and saw how a lot of people felt about Bam, I couldn't help but think about what was missing in order to get more people to truly like him as a hero of this story. At first, I thought it was because Bam was missing more backstory moments to get people to better understand where he's coming from, since a lot of people were still joking about Bam being a simp, even when the anime tried its best to show that he was also a kind and sweet boy who had admirable qualities about him, such as wanting to protect the friends that he made in the tower, even if it meant being faced with the possibility of death. However, after thinking about it for a while, I thought the anime did a satisfactory job of explaining Bam and Rachel's past together, and the real reason why people didn't like Bam lied within his motivation for climbing the tower in the first place. As much as a lot of people don't like the simp jokes, I think there is an underlying truth there that needs to be addressed when people still joke about it, even after the anime tried its best to explain Rachel's importance to Bam. For those of you wondering about the mindset of people who don't seem to like his character very much, I think it's just hard for a lot of people to grasp the idea of a boy getting an opportunity to have anything he desired, but choosing to want to be with a girl who obviously wanted nothing to do with them, coupled with the fact that Bam's past and where he came from was still shrouded in mystery. With that said, because we know next to nothing about what Bam really is, and people still didn't like him, even when the anime showed that he was a good kid, the reason why I think Bam was still not that popular is because there wasn't enough character development for Bam to understand why his reason for climbing the tower was so dumb. This is why when Dorsey told Bam to go find his own happiness in the manhwa, that I was so baffled when it wasn't included in the anime, since I guarantee the majority of the audience was saying the exact same thing in their heads the whole time Bam was chasing after Rachel. This line of dialogue is the perfect example of what the anime was missing, because Bam stayed pretty much the same throughout the story in season 1, and I think a lot of people wanted to see Bam grow up and not have this warped idea that his happiness is reliant on being with another person who didn't want to be with him. Of course, you can make the argument that Bam was just a child and that he didn't know any better, but putting more conflict in his path to make him question this naive goal and growing as a character was something that I thought would have made Bam a lot more enjoyable to people. Simply put, I think that the anime should have included more interaction with characters challenging Bam's goals, since that was something that I think a lot of people were waiting for in order to get them to truly like Bam as a protagonist for Tower of God. The next example of content that was left out of the anime takes place during the first chapter of the hide-and-seek test in the manhwa. There is a scene where Yuga, who was the instructor for the wave controller class, taught Bam how to conjure multiple units of Shinsu, which better showed not only how talented Bam was at controlling it, but also gave the audience a better understanding of Shinsu. Out of all three examples that I wanted to talk about today, I'm surprised the anime skipped over this particular segment, because the use of Shinsu became extremely prominent later during the season, and it would have been nice if the anime gave more information about how exactly Shinsu worked for people who only watch the anime, so that they could get a better understanding of Tower of God's power system. However, the manhwa's information about Shinsu during the season was not perfect either, since there was a lot of things that still needed more clarification from my perspective, such as exploring the various ways characters could use Shinsu, or giving more information about how Shinsu related to the tower. The characters learning more about their positions during their classes would have been a great opportunity for the anime to make the information about Shinsu more clear than the manhwa, instead of just skimming over it, which just left me confused, since I was very interested in how exactly Shinsu worked when I initially only watched the anime. Although how little the anime talked about Shinsu was quite bothersome to me, I think the Shinsu thing was also just a symptom of an even bigger issue that I noticed with the anime itself, which was how little it seemed to care about giving more information about this world that I found to be the most interesting part about the Tower of God. During the first season of the manhwa, there was so much more time spent on giving tiny pieces of information alluding to how the tower was structured and the ruling families of the tower, that it kind of became frustrating to see that the anime just glossed over this important information that could have gotten more people interested in the world of Tower of God. To me, it just seemed like most of the focus for this anime was on Bam and Rachel's story, and mostly everything else that was originally interesting about the story was cut. But even that was kind of botched, considering how many liberties the anime was taking with the original source material in order to fit this huge story in under 13 episodes. Speaking of which, this leads me to my third example, which deals with how the anime treated its side characters. There is a chapter in the manhwa after Bam and the other characters accepted taking the administrator test, in which we got to see Bam training with Dorsey, Kun going over the plans for the test with Shibusu, and all the characters just spending some quality time with each other, which is something we never got to see in the anime. Although I will admit that I don't really think this scene in particular was totally necessary to include in the anime. What I'm trying to get at is that this scene alone is a great example of showing the priorities of the manhwa versus the priorities of the anime. The manhwa simply outshines the anime when it comes to properly developing the side characters, which is what bothered me the most after I finished watching the anime and feeling like we didn't get to know enough about these side characters who seemed to be a lot more interesting than Bam and Rachel. I don't think it's necessary for all these characters to have a bigger chunk of the anime dedicated to explaining their past and stuff like that in order to accomplish this goal, but what I loved about the manhwa was that it made room in the story for small and natural interactions between these characters, which is more than enough to help me connect with them better. Also, I feel like the anime missed the whole point of Bam meeting these other characters and developing friendships with them, which was to show how far he came from once being a lonely boy who was stuck in a cave, wondering if he was going to be trapped there for the rest of his life. From the way this anime skipped over so many moments from the side characters, it felt like the anime was just rushing the story to get to the good parts, which made me feel like it didn't care about the tiny details that made these side characters so great. I mean, take the awkward opening song intro for example, where it literally only showed Bam the entire time with odd credit cuts where there should have been shots of other characters who are also important to the story. This whole anime was just giving me really bad PTSD from the old days when a shonen anime was really just a one-man show and everybody else the protagonist met along the way didn't really matter in the long run. All I'm trying to say is that there are many ways to get an audience to connect with side characters in a story, but skipping over the moments that show off their personality and who they are is not the proper way to get people to care about what happens to them later or how they matter to the story. With that said, that just about wraps up my thoughts on the Tower of God anime versus the manhwa. If you enjoyed this talk about the contents left out of the anime and you want to know more about the other changes made to the adaptation that I didn't get to today, then I encourage you to read the manhwa, as I have hopefully demonstrated how much more fulfilling it was to read the story of Tower of God than it was to watch it. Also, if you have read the manhwa, then please let me know what moments you thought should have been included in the anime in the comments below. And be sure to leave a like on this video if you want to see more content like this in the future. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I will see you anime lovers in the next one. Hello? Yeah, it's me, David. Yeah, I just got done with it. Yeah, it went great. I mean, this should totally fix everything that Aniki said, and there should be no problems going forward if I'm still here. Oh, yeah, sure, great. Yeah, I could totally do that. I mean, what do you want me to... Oh. Yeah, okay, I didn't... Well, yeah. Well, I just didn't know that we were going to do this that soon. I mean, shouldn't we just give him a chance? I mean... Yeah, yeah, no. Yeah, I totally understand, yeah. Yeah, I was just really surprised that, you know, it was going to be this soon, but... Yeah, okay. Okay, I mean, yeah. Yeah, we can do that. Okay. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, bye.